Hashem Naaseh v'Natzliach, shiur Torah. Good to be back at Sunny Isles, Baruch Hashem. We're back in our questions and answers series. Last couple of shiurim, Baruch Hashem, got good feedback. People doing, some new people watching the shiurim. Some people like shiurim that are questions and answers. Some people like topics. Last week you guys had some questions for me. Last couple of weeks actually you guys had some questions for me. Do I dare ask the question if anybody has a question?
I have one.
Shtabach Shemo.
The breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, I think the first is Turim, Urim, is it?
Urim and Tumim?
What's the first word? Urim or
no,
Turim?
Urim and Tumim. No,
Okay,
those are
the
two.
parchment in between the fold, right?
Oh,
With
no,
the
no,
names.
that's a Choshen. You're talking about the Choshen. The Urim and Tumim were two specific items that he would, in essence, put inside the vest, and that would enable the vest to work and shine specific letters to talk to Hashem.
Okay. My question, or what I was unclear, is it seems like there was the parchment with the names of Hashem inside something folded like a pocket.
Okay.
And which was one of the two, Turim or Uvim.
Urim and Tumim, they come together.
One of them I don't know which one is which.
Both, they come together. It's Urim and Tumim they come together. It's not like one is on, in Tel Aviv, the other one in Yerushalayim. They come together.
Or are they two components?
Okay. It's in essence, it's one piece that comes together. That the way it works is this way. The vest of the Kohen has letters on it, representing each one of the tribes, but also representing all of the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. Now, when they had a question, and they had for example, should we go to war? This is not a question that your typical person can answer. Why? Because lives are at risk. So when they had a question if we should go to war, they would go to the Kohen Gadol, or the Urim and Tumim, and they would ask him, should we go to war? And the Kohen would ask Hashem, should we go to war? And it would spell out yes or no, or it would spell out something referencing yes or no. How it would spell it out? Those stones, those precious stones that were on the chest plate, on the breastplate of the Kohen, would shine. Similar to, la'avdil, but technology today. If you ask for example, a computer, certain computer programs, already around for probably 25 years, 30 years, you ask the computer to do something for you, and you have certain programs that do it, then the computer, when it talks to you, in essence, the screen blinks. The screen blinks a certain thing. In essence, same thing, but not really, just without the technology. Here, in essence, though, the questions can't be asked by anybody. So you would ask, for example, why doesn't just anybody wear the breastplate? Why doesn't just anybody wear the uniform of the Kohen Gadol? What's the problem? The problem is that only the Kohen Gadol, if he's righteous, has the siyata dishmaya to translate the actual letters, to say what, to tell you what to translate what it actually says. Because even Eli Cohen made a mistake. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot says a story that in the book of Samuel, Samuel didn't come to the world. Samuel was in his generation was like Aaron and Moshe and Aaron together. He was such a giant, but he didn't come to the world very easily. His mom Chana struggled for many years without a baby. And the Gemara says that one day she goes to the Bet HaMikdash. She was a tzaddiket, and she started praying and crying to Hashem. And Eli Cohen never saw such a thing. He never saw a person going, moving back and forth, crying. So he thought, maybe there's something wrong with her. Maybe something wrong with this woman. Maybe she's shotah, maybe she's a drunkard or something. What's wrong with this woman? She's crying hysterical and praying and just doing something that was unusual, especially for a woman. So he asked the Urim and Tumim, what's the story with this lady? And the Urim and Tumim answered him, Hashem answered him to it, and it spelled out Shin, Chaf, Resh, Hey, which he misunderstood to spell out literally Shikora. Shikora means drunk. So he rebuked her. He says, what are you coming to the Bet HaMikdash drunk? Now she was a prophet. She was a prophet. She wasn't just a nice lady from down the street, sells kosher food. She was a prophet. She says, you made a mistake. You read your own umin and tumin wrong. It's not shikora, it's kshera. Not drunk, but kosher. You miss the same letters, just move one of the letters in a different place. It spells out a completely different word, which means kosher. She is kosher. Meaning that Hashem is telling you that I'm kosher. And the Gemara says that from there we actually learn till this day, you see Jews, when they pray, especially Hasidim, when they pray, they move. We learn actually from Chana. We learn from Chana. This also is one of the great examples of how women are viewed in Judaism in such a high level. You know, people that are feminist and leftist and liberal and haters of Torah never actually read the Torah. They never actually read the Torah, but they like to criticize it though. It's like going to the, some organization's event about how to fight cancer. And then a guy in the back says, hey, guys, I think you're all wrong. You're going about it the wrong way. You know, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I think, my idea is if you give him a coffee and a donut every day, he's going to be healthy. Now, all the doctors, each guy, has his own kavod. This guy makes $1.8 million trying to solve some problems. The other guy is a researcher, makes a dollar. Everybody's got an office, a building, a hospital, and everybody's looking, who's this guy? What, does he have a cure? Coffee and a donut? Did we miss this all along? He said, sir, doc, what's your credentials? Which university did you build? Not go to. Which one did you build? He says, no, I just work at clean the bathrooms. He says, you clean the bathrooms and you're interfering with our conference? We're trying to solve cancer here. You're telling us coffee and donut? Because that's his knowledge. The reality is, as funny as it is, that's the liberal mentality of today that tries to fight Torah. They never actually read the Torah from beginning to end with basic level commentary to even understand what's going on. They never even read the Torah without commentary. But yet they criticize it and go against it in every way, shape, or form. And one of the primary ways that the lefty, liberal, missionary, all of the people that are in essence anti-Torah, they all use the same exact tool, which is to get the ladies to go on their side. Because Nashim Da'atan Kala. The Gemara says that the mind of a woman is soft. What does it mean, soft? She's easier to influence because her decisions are based on emotions much more frequently than a man. A man usually has a balance of emotions and rationale if he's a grown-up, if he's a mature man, not if he's a child like today. Today, a man doesn't start. In America, a man doesn't start until you're 45. When you're 20, 25, you're still a child. You're lucky you not have a diaper. 20, 25, you're still a child 9 out of 10 times. Why? Because what do kids know when they're 25 years old? Nothing. 30 years old, they finally leave Abba and Ima's house. I'm talking about Americans. I'm not talking about people that came from a different country. People that came from a different country, you're out of the equation. You're not even considered a human being in this population of the world today. Why? You guys work at 15. You guys are crazy. You guys have your own job. You actually don't need somebody to cook for you at 12. Your mom doesn't have to clean up for you at 13. You're crazy. The average American doesn't understand these things. The average American doesn't get out of his parents' house until he's late 20s, if that early, and doesn't actually develop his own opinion that's not based on the influence of his friends and family and the society at large, until he's in his mid-30s, maybe even 40s, sometimes never. So the thing is, though, is that an average person hears that, a woman is easy to influence, going to take offense to it. The woman's going to take offense to it. No, what are you talking about? I was already doing this, and that when I was 15. Okay, I know. Okay, you did it. You're excluded. For every rule, there's an exception to the rule. But the reality is that if you said it, you're not exception to the rule. I just said it just to make you feel better for 2 seconds, to relax, to hear the rest of what I'm going to say. Why? Because if you're reacting in a negative way, that means you're one of those emotional people. Why? Because if you weren't emotional, you'd let me finish the point, and then you'd understand that it's actually true. Women in general are much more emotional. They just are. They were created that way. If you're not emotional, then it's safek if you're a woman. You're supposed to be emotional. Why? We need you to be emotional. We need you to be emotional because the guy that's rational, he's own logic in essence. He can't take care of a little baby crying at 3 o'clock in the morning. He can't. He's tired. He wants to go to sleep. Now you're crying. Listen, you'll probably be crying when I wake up. So you're crying when I sleep or or I'm awake. Take care of your own. I grew up. I made it till 30. You'll make it, kid. I'll see you in 3 hours. I'm going to get some sleep. Why? The guy's not emotional about the kid. He's just not. It's a reality. A guy, I'm making a mockery of it, but it's a reality. Guys are not emotional to the same extent as women. They're just not. And it's not necessary for them to be. If they are, there's usually a hormonal imbalance. There is. Now, with women, on the other hand, women need to be emotional. But sometimes when it comes to making decisions, it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult in the eyes of the Torah, it makes it difficult to put them in specific positions. For example, you're not allowed to make a woman a judge. Not allowed. So then you're going to ask me, wait a minute, but we had a judge in the Torah. We had a woman that was a judge in the Torah. So how could that be? It wasn't a regular woman. She was a prophet. She was a prophet, which means she is an exception to the rule because she's not considered part of the rest of the women in the world. She's a prophet. Prophecy, in order to understand prophecy, you have to be a prophet. In order to understand prophecy, you have to be a prophet. Why? Does anybody here understand what it means like to talk to Hashem and He talks to you back? But I don't mean talk to you back in some sign that you are translating it to be time talking to you. No, mamash. You're talking to him, he's talking to you back. Oh, Manishma Yaakov. Ah, B'seder Hashem, how are you? B'seder, everything's good in Shemaim. How's everything over there? That, you talk to Hashem like that? No. Okay, you're not a prophet. Until you understand what it means to be a prophet, you can't understand what it means to be a prophet. So now, we had a prophet that was a woman. There was also a judge, but that's again an exception to the rule. The rest of women were not judges, and the reason why is because, number one, is because a woman is emotional. Her decisions are based on emotions, and we do not want to influence a halachic decision based on emotions. Same goes when it comes to witnesses. You're not allowed to have a woman as a witness in a bed din. Not allowed to have it. Why? Because, again, she's emotional, you could influence her, you can embarrass her, much easier than you can embarrass a man. And if you embarrass a man, he recovers just 20 minutes later. You embarrass a woman, she could be damaged for 20 years. Last but not least, also when the Gemara says, when, I think it's Masechet Shabbat, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai ran away from the Romans with his son, he didn't tell his wife. He didn't tell his wife where he's going. He said, why? Because he knew that if the Romans came to her, and she knew where her son was and where her husband was, they can threaten her by perhaps killing one of the other kids or causing some damage to unearth her emotions. But if she doesn't know, there's no emotions there. They're just, listen, I just don't know. They can't influence her because if she knew, she would have told them where Rabbi Shimon is and would have caused, to save one life, she would have killed two. So the point is that when we have decisions in the Torah, we have halachic decisions in the Torah, we rely on the Chachamim, and when they say Nashim da'atam kala, we know that they're saying it not because of a sexist or some type of bias towards women, but rather because of a clear understanding of the Bria, of the creation, that they got from Hashem Yitbarach. Now, there are some men that take this too far, and they frown upon women, or they insult women, or they look down at women. You should know that's the last thing you should do. Why? Because the Mashiach is not coming because of you. We didn't leave Mitzrayim because of you. We left Eretz Yisrael because of the women, the righteous women. The Mashiach is only going to come because of righteous women that do tshuva, take off the wigs, put on some modest clothes, read some Teilim, send their kids to yeshivot, send their husband to shiur Torah. That's the women that are going to bring Mashiach. It's not going to be you guys, by the way. I'm sorry to give you guys the news. It's not going to be because of you. Who's going to be? Because of your wives. Your wives that send you here. That's who's going to bring the Mashiach. That's the same thing that saved us in Mitzrayim. One of the places that we saw this is a source is actually in last week's parasha, Parashat Tetzaveh. Parashat Tetzaveh talks about all of the different tools that Hashem Yitbarach asked Am Yisrael to build in order to build the Mishkan of the desert, and one of them was the shiur. The shiur was a place that they were able to wash their hands and feet. The Kohanim were able to wash their hands and feet, and initially Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to build it from Choshen, from Nechoshet, from copper. Why? Because this originally was the mirrors of the women. When we were in Egypt, the men lost all hope. Every time they had a kid, the Egyptians killed them, either to bathe Paro Rasha with the baby's blood, or because they didn't meet their quota and didn't build enough stone, so they put the baby in there instead. So the men lost all hope. On top of that, they destroyed their morale by giving men women's jobs. A lot of the things, by the way, that happened in Egypt happened in the Holocaust too. It's almost like Hitler read the playbook of Paro, and he did the same thing. So they mamash destroyed their morale. So the men did not want to procreate anymore. They didn't want to bring any more babies to the world. But the women knew that the only way to bring salvation to the world is by bringing more Torah to the world. But if you bring more Torah to the world, you have to bring people to study it. So they had to convince their husbands to want to procreate. Now, if the husband comes home from work, he just worked a 12, 15, 18-hour shift, he's beat up, he lost a finger at work, there's no insurance is going to pay him anything, he also didn't get paid, all he has is headaches and complaints, and the best case scenario, he's going to get 3 hours of sleep tonight. Best case scenario. Last thing he wants to do is waste a little bit of time hanging out with his wife. So the wives were smart. What they do, they took their mirrors, which were made out of copper, and they would, as soon as the husband would come home, they would look at themselves and put it in a position that the husbands would see themselves also in it. And it would make them laugh, say, who's prettier, you or me? The guy just came, he's missing a finger, he's missing an eye, he's not really sure if he's going to be able to make it to work tomorrow, but she's asking, who's pretty, you or me? So it makes them laugh. That laughter put him in the mood. Put him in the mood, and Baruch Hashem brought more children to the world. So Moshe Rabbeinu, who had nevuah, who knew all this happened, he said to Hashem, how are we going to take this kli, this tool that was for the use of lust? For the use of lust. I mean, when you think about it, it's for the use of lust. No, how do we take this and put it in the place where right next to, Shem Hashem, what's going on here? What are we going to do with the Bet HaMikdash? We're going to put this? Hashem says, no, Dafka, I want this. Not only I want this, I want only this. I want you to take all the mirrors of all the women to accept all of them. With everything else, there was a limit. Everything else that people gave, there was a limit. You couldn't just give whatever you wanted. There was a limit. But with this, take all of them. Take all the mirrors of the women. Why? Because it's only because of the women that you guys left Mitzrayim. Only because of them. So, we see here that Torah Kedusha appreciates women for their role in the world. The trouble that we have today is that, number one, women don't know their role in the world. Many of them want the man's role. So you see a lot of times, women want to have a career. They want to have a career because they want to be a CEO of a company. They want to start a bank or something. They want to, they don't want to depend on the guy for financials. I understand that. I understand not wanting to depend on anybody. It's a nightmare to depend on anyone. But that's not the woman's role. Why is not the woman's role? Because your role is to be the wife. If the husband agrees that you should be the provider, that's a different story. Then go ahead, chazaka ubucha. But if you're deciding upon yourself that you're going to build your career with or without your husband's permission, with or without your husband actually wanting it, with or without a husband at all, you're going to put the husband on hold until you get your CEO status, then you're making a very big mistake. And a lot of women that, Baruch Hashem, are listening to the shiur right now are finding this out almost too late. Not, Baruch Hashem, not too late, but almost too late. Because you see today, the Jewish world has what they call a shidduch crisis. It's not really a shidduch crisis. There's no such thing as a shidduch crisis. It's a midot crisis. People don't know how to be human beings. That's the problem. People are too picky. People are don't want to follow the Torah. They want to follow their own opinion. It has nothing to do with shidduch crisis. There's plenty of girls. There's plenty of guys. It's just that the guys want one thing, the girls want something, and problem is that they don't make a good match. Many of the guys that want to get married are children still. You know, they're still like in their early 20s. And the girls that want to get married are now in career. They're career women, so they're 35, 45. So it's not a match. So then you say, okay, so why don't you go find the 45-year-old guys and the 35-year-old guys? No. There's plenty of 35, 45-year-old guys that I know that are still single. So you go to them. No, look, I have a nice woman for you. She's younger than you. She's the same age as you. She's this, she's that. She's a career woman too. No. Chazaku Baruch, you found somebody. You're lucky. You found somebody. No, I'm not really sure. She's too old for me. What do you mean she's too old for you? You're 45, she's 35. What do you want it to be? No, I was thinking more like 25. What are you, Hugh Hefner? What are you trying to be here? Jew or Playboy? What are you trying to do here? That's the problem. Guys, they want Tzara Imenu, but they want it to be one of these Toivat Hashem, disgusting to Hashem women that they see on television. So that's the problem. The guys that are the right age, they're still children, and they're not going to grow up anytime soon. They're not going to grow up anytime soon. Those people, I guarantee you, will stay single or will get married, divorced, and then go back to being single permanently. Permanently. Until they do tshuva. If they ever do it. If they have the merit to do tshuva. Why? Because that's an ideology change. That is a mentality change. That's a person that's defect. There's a defect in his mind. He grew up with the mentality that you're supposed to play the field until you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s, and then when nobody wants you, then somebody's going to want you because you're such a gift to mankind. You're such a gift to mankind. Those guys are going to stay single forever. The poor women are going to have to also make exceptions. Why? They made a mistake in their life. They made a mistake in their life, and they delayed their marriage during their prime years in order to get a career instead. Once they got to their 35 years old, 40 years old, they got the money, they got the career, but they don't care about not the money or the career. They want a husband and kids. And it's harder to get. B'ezrat Hashem, if they do serious tshuva, they'll find somebody. But the reality is that a lot of women are making certain, they're breaking their own rules. They're breaking their own rules, they're looking in the wrong places, they're listening to the wrong people. And that's also part of the problems in the Baal Tshuva world in general. I heard Rabbi Mizrahi say it as well just the other day, is that almost 80% of the Baalei Tshuva today are still living a secular life. Like they keep Shabbat. Somebody convinced them to keep Shabbat. They listen to a shiur Torah here and there. They go to Beit Knesset. They eat kosher as long as it's convenient. They try not to steal as long as it's convenient. No one's watching at least. But they're still living a secular life. Why? They still invite all of their secular friends to their house. They still want to go vacation with the guys. They still want to do all the things they did as a secular person. A Jew that wants to be a kosher Jew never thinks like this. Why? You don't have time. You don't have time to think like this. When you understand the Torah and you understand what you're obligated to do, you don't have time to think too much about being a secular person. Why? It's too scary. The consequences are too big. So, the Torah tells us a lot of things that we're supposed to do. A lot of things. This Parashat Tetzaveh says a lot of things we're supposed to do when we have Bet HaMikdash. But there's the rest of the Parashot, where in this week's Parashat, Parashit Ki Tisa, tells you if you don't keep Shabbat the right way, Hashem's going to kill you. Shem Erechem. It's a scary thing. Why? What if you don't know how to keep Shabbat? What if you know how to keep Shabbat? Chachamim said, Chachamim, I'm not talking about Chachamim like your local Breslov, Chabad, or Orthodox, modern Orthodox rabbi from down the street. I'm not talking about that. Chachamim from the Gemara. Chachamim from the Gemara say, if you don't go over the halachot of Shabbat at least 3 times, you know them by heart. After 3 times, you know it mamash, you know it cold, you're definitely 100% breaking Shabbat. Not maybe you're breaking Shabbat. You're 100% breaking Shabbat. But the problem is that the Torah says, "V'nichreta nefesh ha'im mikerev hamea." Torah says, if you don't keep Shabbat, soul's cut off from the nation. So a Jew thinks about, wait a minute, I'm keeping Shabbat. No. Do we know all the halachot Shabbat? Do you know that each one of the is 39 restrictions? So you know, I know 39 by heart. I know 39 by heart. Yeah, but do you know that 39 avot, the 39 restrictions, each one of them has 39 halachot under it. So do the math. 40 times 40 approximately. -1. And it's actually more, by the way. Do you know all those by heart? You don't know all those by heart. So when you have time to go hang out with your friends? When you have time to go watch a football game? When you have time to go just chit-chat with the guys over a coffee? When? Do you know all the halachot? Just for Shabbat. I'm not talking about every day. First time I ever learned the Shulchan Aruch, the halachot of Bet Kiseh. How to go to the bathroom. You know how bad I felt about myself? I felt terrible. I almost got into depression. Baruch Hashem, I was learning Torah, so it got me out of the depression I was getting into. Torah gets you out of depression. Why? I realized I don't even know how to go to the bathroom. Like a Jew. I'm serious. I bet you 99% of Jews don't know how to go to the bathroom. Forget about the Goyim. They don't have the same rules as us. Talk about Jews. You actually have halachot of how to go to the bathroom. How to go. How to go to the bathroom. Meaning how to be modest. What to cover, what not to cover. Not to just sit there naked like you just came out of your mom's belly. Everybody thinks they go to the bathroom, it's like a little newborn. No, there's a way of how to go to the bathroom. What to cover, when to cover, how, who, what, when. You read the first 7 halachot, the first 7, not even said the whole thing. The first 7 halachot of Bet Kiseh, Shulchan Aruch. You realize, Hashem Yachem, I don't know how to go to the bathroom. If I don't know how to go to the bathroom, how do I know how to keep Shabbat? How do I know how to keep kosher? Do I even keep kosher? Am I even a Jew? You start questioning yourself. So when you start realizing how little do we know, when do you have time to go on vacation? When do you have time to go hang out with the guys and play some cards, watch a show, just chit-chat with the guys about the game, or the best yet, politics. People love politics. Ishtabach Shimolad. I used to go to this Bekneset in Boca Raton. You guys may have heard me say the name once or twice. And one of the sides, the biggest side, is special. You guys can go see it today if you want. It's not. It's still there. It's like a statue, but it's a person. It's like a statue, but it's living statue. Every Shabbat, I don't recommend going there because it's like you don't know if it's a real minyan. But anyway, it's you go to the place, and the entrance of the place, there's always the same 2 people and the guests. There's always 2 people and the guests. There's a guy, an older guy, and an older woman discussing politics on Shabbat. Now the guy has a talit on, but he never enters the shul. He's at the entrance. And the woman, I don't even know if she's Jewish, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. I think she is. She goes to shul, but she doesn't enter the shul. The whole time, you go into the beginning of prayer of Shabbat, until you finish. 3 hours later, they're still talking politics. Every week, like clockwork. I lived there for 3 years. Clockwork. Every week, never finished. The conversation starts and it never finishes. No, but Trump should do this. Yeah, but Hillary is this. Yeah, but this one is this. But that one is... You would think this guy he must be a member of Congress. He must be a member of... the Pikuach Nefesh. Pikuach Nefesh Doche Shabbat. That's why he's talking about on Shabbat. I mean, his opinion must count. Somebody on I'm looking on him for CNN. CNN, from Boca Raton, now live. I'm looking for something. Nothing. Why? That guy's a plumber. He has nothing to do with politics. Nothing to do with politics. He just has an opinion. And she has an opinion. And they have guests that join them for, waste their life. And people love to talk about politics. As if their opinion matters. My recommendation, you could take it. You don't have to. But my recommendation, turn off the screen. Turn off the television. Turn off the computer. Turn off the news. Turn off the newspapers. Turn it all off. I promise you, nothing will ever change. If it changes, don't knock on your door. Hey, Betzalel, it changed. Okay, Chazak u'Baruch. That's it, finished. You just save yourself 2 years worth of news. When it finally changed, they're going to tell you. But nothing changed. Every day they're going to tell you, everyone hates whoever's the president. They can't wait for the other guy to run, but in reality, the guy never actually runs. But they, of course, they have to, get a lot of money from donors who don't know where the money's going to because of, the campaign. That's one. That's the political campaign of the current president and future president. Then you have stock market. It's up, it's down. It's only 50% chance you're right. Without even watching the stock market, you're right. 50% chance. Either went up or it went down. Nothing changed. When it changes, when it crashes, you don't have to know the news. You just see people crying. The guy all of a sudden next door, he's selling the house. Whoa, what happened? He's selling the house. What happened? No, I just lost my job, my this, my that. What happened? I put everything in Bitcoin. Oh, okay. Chazak u'Baruch. Chazak u'Baruch. You should have watched shiur Torah. I told you about Bitcoin a year ago before it crashed. Bitcoin, a year ago, you came to shiur Torah, you would have heard. I told you it's going to crash. Guess what? It crashed without watching the stock market. It crashed 80% without watching the stock market. Why? It never changes. It never changes. Actually, I have a Baal Tshuva because of it, believe it or not. I swear, I'm telling you. I have a Baal Tshuva because of it. Somebody watched that video. He's like, this rabbi is full of it. There's this, there's that. He contacted me like 3 months ago. He says, you know what? You were right. Look, it crashed 80%. I didn't even know it crashed 80%. He told me it crashed 80%. He lost me skin $550,000. Poor guy. But, Baruch Hashem, he did tshuva because of it. Listen, it was worth it for him to lose $5 million to do tshuva. Cheap, $550,000. Discount. So, as far as the stock market news, Rabotai, 50% chance, you're right. Whether you say it's up or it's down, it's irrelevant. So you have politics, you have the stock market. What else is there? New laws doesn't affect 99% of the population. What are you going to talk about? The wall? Wall doesn't affect you. We're going to talk about the minimum wage. Doesn't affect you. Doesn't affect you minimum wage. Why? If it affects you, your boss is going to tell you, son, listen, we're going to increase your minimum wage. We're going to lower your minimum wage. Or your employees say, hey, boss, listen, they increased the minimum wage to $100 million an hour. Why? You're just mowing lawns. Yeah, but listen, we live in America now. Okay, so I have to pay you. What are we going to do? Point is that, but you don't need to watch the news. It's a complete waste of time. War. No, you have to know the war. You have to know the politics in Israel. The best politics in the world is politics in Israel. There are actual terrorists inside the government. You think I'm joking? No, I'm dead serious. One of the former, and he's a former only because of this, one of the former Congress members in the Israeli Knesset sold secrets of the Israeli army to Iran, out of all people in the world. To Iran. The other Israeli Knesset members have protests against IDF. They say, the IDF soldiers are reshaim, they need to die. What do you mean? But you're in the government. You're supposed to support them. They're your army. They're protecting you. No, I'm Palestinian. I hate you guys. I'm going to kill you guys. They tell them I'm going to kill you. This is the government. You're going to listen to this news? You have to be retarded. You have to be stupid like them. Like, you're going to watch this? It's like a bunch of, a bunch of monkeys fighting each other. What are you going to watch this? No, we need to know about terrorism. Why? Are you going to do something about it? After you find out, it's too late. The poor girl, Miskena, last week, this Imach Shimov Zichor, this Arab, decided to do an ISIS on her, chopped off her head. Miskena, the poor girl. What'd she do? What'd she do to him? Nothing. Of course, she has a cheshbon in Shamayim. But here, what did he do? This Arab, what did he want? What he did to her. Shem Elechem. Well, you want to find this out? By the time you found out, it's too late. So, news to the wise. You want to save yourself time? Stop watching the news. Use that time to learn Torah. Use that time to do something useful, productive in your life. And I promise you, you're not going to miss a beat. You're not going to miss a beat. Anything you really need to find out, usually arrives at the door anyway. So, when a person wants to be a kosher Yid, wants to be a kosher Jew, he understands that there's very, very little time to waste. I think he's looking for the bathroom if you give him the thing. There's very, very little time to waste. And the reason why is because there is too much on the line. There's too much on the line to get it wrong.
You know, the old saying goes, you only live once. We don't really believe that. We believe there's gilgulim, there's reincarnations. But you can't depend on a reincarnation. Why? Number one, reincarnation is not a reward, it's a punishment. It's not a reward. Don't everybody think, no, listen, you know what? I'll have fun this one, I'll come back next time. I'll do better next time. Who says you're going to remember? Do you remember your last reincarnation? No. Second thing is, Chachamim told us, the Steipler Gaon told us, already in his generation, this is 5 decades ago, 6 decades ago, no more reincarnations. Meaning, it's going to be so rare, it's almost as if non-existent. Non-existent. So, no one should ever think, oh no, I'll mess up this time and I'll come back again. We have one chance. Your chance right now to get it right. If you go to your entire life, you're in this life 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. As you get older, it's much more difficult to do tshuva. And also there's consequences for your actions. If you didn't do tshuva when you were 30, and you finally did tshuva, you were 60. Good for you, you did tshuva. But all your kids are marrying to goyot. All your kids are marrying to goyim. Okay, so you did tshuva at 60 years old. Chazaka ubucha, chazaku baruch. Good for you. But your kids are already damaged. What are you going to tell them? Divorce? Because you did tshuva and tell you, Ima, Abba, do me a favor, don't call me anymore. I got my own life. I see a lot of these people that are doing tshuva, Baruch Hashem, but some of them are doing tshuva later on in their life, and all their life is regrets. Why? Regret they didn't do tshuva when they were young, 20 years old, 30 years old. Full of regrets, because they actually lived life like the secular mentality, and they realized that Shlomo HaMelech wasn't kidding when he says, Evel Avalim. It's all nonsense. It's all a waste. All these chasing of money and women and all the desires in the world is a complete waste of time. So a person that wants to be a kosher person has to understand he doesn't have, or she doesn't have that much time. There's no guarantee we're going to be here next week. In fact, there's no guarantee we're going to be here tomorrow. While we're here, we have to get it right. Hashem, when he wrote the Torah, he was very serious. We may not take him seriously, but he is very serious. And when he says, if you violate Shabbat, that's death penalty, he's not joking. He's not saying only for the generation from 3,000 years ago. He says forever. So when a person doesn't know halachot Shabbat, that means that he's living on borrowed time. Why? Because if he doesn't know halachot Shabbat, most likely he's breaking it. Not most likely, he is breaking it. So that means that he's breaking it every week, every week, every week, every week he's making his karet. Every week he's karet. Every week he's karet. Every week he's lucky to be alive. He should say Modeh Ani Hashem like twice. Why? Modeh Ani for regular, Modeh Ani because you owe me so much what I did. Survived Shabbat. So a person needs to know, Hashem is very serious, not just when it comes to Shabbat. What about when it comes to Taharat Mishpacha? How many people know how to keep Taharat Mishpacha really? How many people know how to keep Taharat Mishpacha? You know how many frum people don't keep Taharat Mishpacha? They call themselves frum. They go to a kosher restaurant. They have a kosher bar mitzvah. They have a nice $2,000 tefillin. They have. But the mikveh, once in a while they skip. Why? It's late. It's raining. It's this. It's snowing. Skip. It's now who's going to know? Well, I'll tell him I went. I'll tell him I went. Or the husband can't hold himself. He's like a bull. He's like a bull. He can't hold himself. He wants his wife the whole year round. Women come crying to us. They say, my husband doesn't let me go to the mikveh. What do you mean he doesn't let you go to the mikveh? Go to the mikveh. No, he doesn't want to wait. What do you mean he doesn't wait? He's frum. He's a keeper and everything. It's a costume. He doesn't realize how bad it is. He doesn't realize he touches a finger. Forget about intimacy. He touches a finger. Touches a finger. It's isur karet. Touches a finger. Just a finger. Hi, honey. High five. Isur karet. Now he doesn't understand what isur karet is, right? Why? Because nobody ever told him what isur karet means. He thought isur karet is like, it's like a scratch. It's a scratch on a neshama. You put a band-aid on it, it's all good. It goes away. Because the rabbi told them that everybody goes to Gan Eden, and it's not a big deal. You're a yid, you donate a lot of money, you're a nice guy. Look at how big your kippah is. It's black too. No. Hashem understands. Hashem understands you need it. Hashem understands. Yeah, he understands. He has a Gemara specifically for you. Talks about Isur Karet. He understands real well. Rabotai, a person that wants to live a kosher life simply does not have the courage to waste time. Yirat Shamayim is not a fear of punishment only. It's a fear of messing up the relationship we have with Hashem. And there are many different things that could simply ruin that relationship. If you have a good marriage, the last thing you want is to get into an argument. If you have a bad marriage, all you have is arguments. But if you have a good marriage, the last thing you want is to get into an argument. Why? Because at the end of it all, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Okay, so she forgot to cook. Okay, so he didn't make enough money this month. Okay, so she did this or he did that. At the end of the day, it's not worth it to fight. Why? You have such a good marriage. You don't want to ruin it. To get into an argument, the argument's going to last an hour, 2 hours. Next thing you know, she's crying, he's crying, the kids are crying, everybody's crying. For what? For what? What was, at the end of it all, what, was it really worth it? If you have a good marriage, you realize 100% of the time, it's not worth it. Not worth it to fight. Why? Okay, so he messed up. Okay, so she messed up. Okay, bedil v'yavo. Let it go. Let it go. Just like we want Hashem to let it go, we let it go. But if you have a bad marriage, all you have is fighting. It's just you have a break in between fights. It's like a boxing match. Ding, 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 next fight. Ding, 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 he's home, fight. He's home, fight. She's home, fight. She's awake, fight. All you have is fighting. It's just that you don't fight when you're not talking. That's the only time you're not fighting. When you're talking, it has to be a fight. Sometimes the fighting is screaming and yelling. Sometimes the fighting is very quiet and looks calm. But she's telling you, I'm going to kill you. I love you. I kill you. Yeah. Watch that coffee. I made it. I made that coffee for you. Tavon. Bon appetit. In English. You know, appetit. In French. That's the coffee. Steak is good, right? Yeah, eat. Kapara alecha. Eat. Eat. You came home at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. Eat, kapara. Eat. Who else was with you? Oh, Yossi, the single guy, was with you. Eat, kapara. I made it for you. Eat. Why? You're not even sure if it has poison or not. Why? There's only fighting. But she's calm. She's calm. Fake marriage. Fake life. A real marriage doesn't have fighting. Yes, there's disagreements. Yes, there's different times that you see one way, she sees the other way. But you find a way to make it work. Because hurting the relationship is simply not worth it. Needless to say, hurting the relationship with Hashem Yitbarach is not worth it. It's not just about Gehenom that I could give you another shiur about, by the way. I have some new chidushim. It's not just about that. It's not just about Gehenom. It's about, why do you want to hurt the relationship between you and the Creator you depend on? For what? It's not worth it. What? For 5 seconds of pleasure? For what? To look one place that... For what? For what? What is it for? It's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. But that's a Jew that's trying to be kosher. A Jew that's trying to be kosher will always find an answer of why it's not worth it to do all these different things. A Jew that's not trying to be kosher will always have questions, but never answers. Always have questions. Everything you tell them, yeah, but this, yeah, but you know, there's multiple opinions. Yeah, but you know, this, some people do this and some people do that. They always have questions. Why? Because they're always looking for excuses. The Satan has been here for almost 6,000 years. He's the master of all excuses. All you need to know is that you could ask for an excuse and I'll give you 1,000. Same price. Same price. So if you're looking to be a kosher Jew, you have to know there's simply no time to waste. You have to learn Halacha. You have to learn the Parasha. You have to learn Gemara. You have to learn a lot of different things in order to make your neshama kosher. Or else the consequences are very, very dear. Now, the Gemara says in Masechet Rosh Hashanah something very interesting. All of us remember that when Adam HaRishon made a sin, he messed up. Now, do you think Adam HaRishon thought that if he messes up, it's going to affect a generation 5,700 years later? No. At best, he thought maybe it'll affect his kids. At best. At best. Most likely he didn't, because the Zohar Kadosh says in reality the only reason why Adam HaRishon was willing to eat from Eitz Hadat, from the tree of knowledge, was because he wanted to serve Hashem Yitbarach. He knew that he only had 1,000 years. But if he ate from the Eitz Hadat, the tree of knowledge, he would get the knowledge to find out where the tree of life was. And go eat from the tree of life, live forever, and then serve Hashem forever. That was his logic. It was a flawed logic, because Hashem told him no. But he wanted to serve Hashem even better than Hashem wanted him to serve him. Flawed logic. Even at his level, flawed logic made a mistake. But he didn't think, okay, you know what, worst case scenario, Hashem kills me. If Hashem's going to kill me for serving Him, Baruch Hashem, it's Kiddush Hashem. Alvay Aleinu, say for Hashem to kill us because we're serving Him so good. People make fun of Adam HaRishon. I can't believe he did. What he did? You know what he did? You know what he did? He was willing to sacrifice his life. For what? To serve Hashem. You go do that. It's mitzvah for you. For him it's not. For you it's mitzvah. So Adam HaRishon thought to himself, worst case scenario, he kills me. Okay, so I suffer. Maybe my kids are going to suffer because, they're not going to have Abba. No one's going to play with them, little transformers together. No one's going to play with them. Okay, so the kids are going to suffer. But no big deal. He didn't think grandkids, great-grandkids, 5,000 years later, never in his wildest dreams, even though he had all the neshamot in the world, in him at that moment, cannot be compared to us in any way, shape, or form. With all of his wisdom, last thing on his mind was that he was going to affect you today. Now, all of us have heard that after he sinned, Hashem said that you will toil in order to make parnasah. You will toil to bring the wheat out of the ground. You'll toil. You'll have to work hard by the sweat of your brow. All of us remember that, right? So the Gemara says, מפני מה אמרה התורה, הביאו שתי הלחם בעצרת. Why did the Torah state, bring 2 loaves of bread on Shavuot? Atzeret is another name for Shavuot in the Gemara. Why is it that on Shavuot they would bring 2 loaves of bread in the Bet HaMikdash as a korban? Why? It's part of the ceremony. 2 loaves of bread made from new wheat were brought up each Shavuot. This is from Leviticus 23:17. For what? How is this 2 loaves of bread symbolic of Matan Torah? Shavuot, what is it for? Matan Torah, we count from Pesach, 7 weeks plus 1 to Matan Torah. How is 2 loaves of bread representation of Matan Torah? What does one thing have to do with the other? It says, because Shavuot is the time for judgment on fruits of the tree. Fruits of the tree. When was the last time anyone called wheat a fruit? Wheat a fruit? Who thinks wheat's a fruit? Wheat's not a fruit. אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, הביאו לפני שתי הלחם בעצרת כדי שיתברכו לכם פירות האילן. The Holy One, blessed is He, said, bring before me 2 loaves of bread on Shavuot, so that the fruits of the tree be blessed for you. Meaning, this is not dat Chachamim. Chachamim said, no. The wheat is a fruit. So you bring the, why? Because Hashem says, bring me these 2 loaves of bread, so it gives a blessing to the rest of the fruit. Meaning that the trees, that the bread is made from fruit, and because you're bringing fruit, I'm going to bless the fruit. Symbolic. Chachamim say, wait a minute, but last time we checked, wheat is not fruit. That's because we're not Chachamim. What do Chachamim say? If you look at the Gemara, I believe it's Masechet Brachot. Masechet Brachot, also Sanhedrin, talks about what are the different opinions of what the Eitz Hadat was. The tree of knowledge. Because the tree of knowledge, it never says what it is. Just tree of knowledge, it says. It doesn't say what kind of tree it was. So Gemara has different opinions. One says it's a te'ena, fig tree. Why? Because Adam HaRishon and Chava, Hashem made him clothes out of figs, the leaves of figs. Another one says it's a wheat. Another one says it's a grape. In a different place I found rimon, pomegranate. So there's a few opinions, but it doesn't say what it is. Why? Because Hashem didn't want us that every time we see a grape tree or a wheat tree or something else, it's because of that tree we're all suffering. Why? It's not the tree's fault that Adam HaRishon sinned. He was there. You know what? He didn't tell that Adam, no, take a piece. Take a bite from me. He didn't entice him. It's not his fault. So why should the tree be embarrassed for eternity because somebody made a sin? So that's why Hashem did not tell us what kind of tree it was. But Rabbi Yehoshua says, Rabbi Yehuda says that the tree of knowledge is actually a wheat tree. It's a wheat tree. Now, Rabbeinu Tzadok HaKohen in Machshevot Charutz, page 60a, gives a chidush worth $1 million. He says, how do we know to prove Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that it's a wheat tree? From here, from this Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. How? Hashem says, bring me the 2 loaves of bread because that's going to bring a blessing to the fruits, which is telling us that the wheat used to be a fruit. When was it a fruit? Before he ate from it. Why do we know it was a fruit? Because when it was a fruit, it was easy to pick it. But now, you're just picking from the fruit. But now because you sinned, Hashem changed nature and made the wheat go into the ground, that in order to take the wheat out, you have to sweat. By the sweat of your brow, you're going to make parnasah. By the sweat of your brow, you're going to make parnasah. The wheat changed in Hashem. You violated nature, I'm going to change nature. I'm going to change nature. Now you're going to get bread, it's going to be harder for you. It's going to be harder for you to make bread. So from here we see that the Chachamim don't just come up with their opinions just because of this and just because of that. Also, we see a lot of the interesting things. For example, the way the parashot were broken down. We see the last week's parashat Tetzaveh. It's an interesting parasha. Why? It's the only parasha in the entire Torah since the time Moshe Rabbeinu was mentioned the first time. It's the only parasha in the entire Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned. The only time. Now, why was it not mentioned? Because of this week's parasha, Parashat Ki Tisa. Moshe sacrifices his life for Am Yisrael. Hashem wants to kill Am Yisrael. He tests Moshe, okay, let me just start a new nation with you. Moshe Rabbeinu says, no. If you're going to kill them, erase me from your book. Kill me first, in so many words. So Hashem says, erase you, I'll take you out of the parasha. So we think, it's a punishment. No, wrong, not a punishment. What's the proof? First and foremost, right after that, he says, Moshe, I like you. Right after the first time he ever said it, after that, after he saw Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to sacrifice his life for Am Yisrael, he says, I like you, Moshe. Matzat chen be'enai. I like you. You found favor in my eye. But then we also see that Moshe Rabbeinu's name is actually not hidden in the parasha. It's actually the entire parasha. If you look, Moshe Rabbeinu's humility was something that's very hard for us to understand. Despite all of the extraordinary things that he did for Am Yisrael as a leader, the miracles he performed, the Mesirut Nefesh, that self-sacrifice that he did day and night for Am Yisrael, they never appreciated it, unfortunately. They never appreciated their rabbi until he was about to die. Until he told him, listen, after this war, I'm going to die. They all started crying. They didn't want to go to war. But until then, 40 years, they didn't appreciate him for nothing. What do they do instead? They complain against him. Some of the complaints, Mamash, when you read it, it's really, really an embarrassment. But if it wasn't written, we wouldn't be allowed to say it. Rashi says that the way the people looked at Moshe Rabbeinu, the men that hated him, that were jealous of him, say, look at Moshe. Look how big and healthy he is. Look at his thighs, how thick his thighs are. Meaning he's muscular, he's healthy. Look at his neck. It looks like a nice, healthy neck. You know, that health, who do you think paid for it? Who do you think paid for his health? He's living off of us. Millions of people are financing his organization. We're financing him. Look how healthy he is. Look, he has a new this, he has a new donkey, he has a new car, he has a new house, a new this. It's all us. We did it. Instead of saying, by the way, a week ago we were slaves. Every guy was mamash losing kids every week. Some of them were losing their own lives, their own this, their own that. Instead, what they're looking at Moshe. Moshe looks healthy. Oh, that must be because he's stealing from us. If that wasn't enough, they started saying, hey, they told their women, listen, women, don't go meet with the rabbi. Chas v'sholom, if I find you meeting with the rabbi, why? He's a womanizer. He's going to try to steal you from me. Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu is going to try to steal me for you? All the men told their wives, don't go see Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? He's a womanizer. What was the excuse for thinking Moshe Rabbeinu was a womanizer, as illogical as this is? Because they found it that their own wives weren't listening to them anymore, and they were only listening to the rabbi. And it made them hate him even more. Because their opinion was the opinion of a secular fool. Moshe's opinion was Da'at Torah, meaning it was the opinion of Hashem. Who are you going to go with? So they listened to Torah. But that made the husbands even angrier. So he said, no, watch. He's going to steal you. He's going to this, he's going to that. Despite all of this, Rabotai, Moshe Rabbeinu, at the end of his days, instead of telling Am Yisrael, listen guys, I'm about to leave this world. I'm going to Olam HaEmet with Hashem. I bless you guys for all of the torture you've put me through, that your kids give you the same torture. Instead of doing that, what did he say to them? Moshe Rabbeinu says to Am Yisrael, I wish there would be 1,000 multiples of you. He gives them a blessing. I wish there's 1,000 more of you. You're such a great nation. Moshe, were you there for the last 40 years? They've been torturing you, calling you names. They want to pelt them with rocks. You're sacrificing your life for them, and what do? They make a Facebook page about you, making fun of you. They're drawing your picture with a Hitler mustache. How? You want to be 1,000 more of them? Moshe, were you there? He says, these are the kids of Hashem. These are the kids of Hashem. Okay, they're a little bit shovavim. They're a little bit troublemakers. But they're still Hashem's kids. If they're Hashem's kids, I love them. And may there be 1,000 more of them. So, this Mesirut Nefesh wasn't going to be unnoticed by Hashem Yitbarach. The ultimate and most humble of all, that allows us, unfortunately, to step on him, curse him, ignore him, disobey him without punishing us right away, giving us more time and more time and more time to do tshuva. Just think about how many people curse Hashem every day. How many people violate his law every day. How many people spit in his face every day, taking the money that he gave them, instead of donating it to get Am Yisrael to do tshuva. Instead of donating it to Torah, what do? They go and waste it on sports. They waste it on booze. They spend it on all types of nonsense, clubs, and all types of things that are against Hashem. He gave them the money and they use it against him. How many people like that every day? Almost everybody. Almost everybody. Do you see people dying in the middle of the street? No. Why? Hashem is the most humble and patient. And he gives us an opportunity to do tshuva. But sometimes that opportunity runs out. But needless to say, in this parasha, Hashem did not let Moshe Rabbeinu's humility go unnoticed. For the first time in the Torah, he says, "Ve'ata tetzaveh et bnei Yisrael," and you shall command the children of Israel. You is the first time it's being referring to Moshe. Usually, Ata is referring to Hashem. Ata Kadosh, V'shimcha Kadosh, you are Kadosh, your name is Kadosh. We all say Ata, 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 you. Who's you? Hashem. Hashem says, Moshe, the Mesirut Nefesh that you did, here I'm going to call you Ata. You're like me. Not that he's God, Chas v'shalom. Don't think like crazy. But Hashem says, you're like me. You're going to sit in Kisei HaKavod with me. In this parasha, Rabotai, has a very interesting thing. Pay attention to the math here. Moshe is Mem Shin Hey. Mem Shin Hey. Now, how do you spell the letters of Moshe? Mem is Mem Mem. You spell the word Mem, the letter Mem, you just write out, like for example, A. How do you spell A? A is like A or something, or EH. B is BE. So to spell the letter Mem is Mem Mem. Okay? To spell the letter Shin, the second letter of Moshe's name, is Shin Yud Nun. To spell the letter Hey is Hey Aleph. In English, unlike other languages, like in Hebrew, unlike English and other languages, the letter, to spell the letter, starts with that letter. Starts with that letter, whereas in other languages, it's not necessarily the case. Now, if you take just the extra letters, which is called milui, the letters that spell out the letters of the name of Moshe, you get a total numerical value of 101. The letters that spell the name Moshe come out with 101. Not Mem, Shin, Hey, all of the other letters. All of the other letters, the fill, are 101. Exactly 101 is exactly 101 psukim in this Parashat Tetzaveh that Moshe's name is not there. So we see that B'siyat Dishmaya, Hashem hid his name by what? By the entire parasha is his name. Entire parasha is his name. And there's other things, but this gives us a little bit of a understanding of how different our Torah Kedusha is from the idolatry of the Brit HaChadasha, the New Testament, False Testament, or the Quran, or all of the Buddha books, all the comic books that people buy and call it religion, all that other stuff. It shows you how our Torah is so different, so divine, that it cannot be compared to anything else. But it's important to know that without the rabbis, there is no Torah. Without the rabbis, there's no Torah. Why? Without our sages, we wouldn't understand anything in the Torah. We wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know. We would all think like the Christians. All the Christians think that the original Eitz Hadat was an apple tree. Why? Because some comic book director decided to make a story about it, and he decided to make it an apple tree. Why? He never read the Tanakh. He never read Chazal. He never read Gemara Masechet Brachot. He never read anything. He just decided that the tree of knowledge is an apple tree. And the Christians, until today, think it's an apple tree. You think this is funny? I'll make it even worse. There's an animal in the Torah called Re'em. Re'em is a huge mix. It looks like a deer / bull, but it's the size of a dinosaur. This animal was alive at the time of Noach. The Midrash says that there were two baby Re'emim. And they were so big, they were babies, they couldn't fit. They couldn't fit in a teva. Only their nostrils were able to fit so they could breathe. And miraculously, they survived. They were tied to the teva, and they survived. I saw a drawing of it. Somebody made a drawing of it. Absolutely extraordinary. But they were all 1 day old. That's how big they were. They're bigger than teva. That's how big they were. Now these re'emim, it's mentioned in the Torah 9 times. 9 times. Now every average kid that learns a little bit of Midrash, Me'am Loaves, Midrash HaGadol, any Midrash, any Gemara, any nothing that talks about re'emim, knows the re'em, it's not a fictional animal, it's not a bull, it's not a deer, it's definitely not a horse. Definitely not a horse. Nobody ever says it's a horse. We actually needed these re'emim because these re'emim were very useful for Bet HaMikdash, for the of the desert. Their skin and so on. There's special animals. We even mentioned it at the time of David HaMelech. David HaMelech almost the one little baby re'em almost destroyed all of Yerushalayim. The time of David HaMelech. These things were huge. So we know it's not a horse. We know it's not a bull. We know it's not a deer. And we definitely know it's not a fictional animal. Why? It's mentioned in the Torah 9 times. In the book of Job, in the Tanakh, and so on and so forth. In the Chumash, 9 times. The Christian comic book creators, Christians, they wrote a comic book called the King James Version of the New Testament. Happens to be the most popular version of the New Testament. Guess what? They translate the word re'em to unicorn. Unicorn is a cartoon of a horse with wings that they made for fairy tales. That's what they have in their holy book. Their holy book has a comic book in it. It's like saying Bugs Bunny met Daffy Duck and then they went and hung out with Jesus. That's what it says. Same thing. So when a person spends a little bit of time on the Torah, sees that every pasuk, every verse has a reason. Every letter has a reason. Even the amount of space between each parasha to the next can never be, with one exception in the entire Torah, less than 9 letters. Less than 9 letters. There's one parasha that has to do with Yaakov Avinu and Yosef, that it's a close, stuma. It's a parasha stuma. One time, one exception, and there's a whole midrash about that. Of why it's this and why it's that. It's a teaching about Yosef and how, even though he was the viceroy of Egypt, this is one of the hints that he still was a ben Torah. He was still close to the Torah. He didn't go far away, and so on and so forth. The point being is that Torah Kedosha is so precise, it's so divine. Every little detail means something. Every letter, every dot, everything. But the only way we would ever know what any of it means is if we have our sages, if we have our rabbis. If we don't have our rabbis, we don't have Torah. That's why, chas v'shalom, if there was ever a gzera, a decree with the goyim, say, listen, you have to give us one of your Torot, either the Gemara or you give us the Chumash or the Tanakh. You have to give up one. Which one do we give? The Tanakh. Because the Gemara is Judaism. The oral Torah is Judaism. We could still learn the entire Tanakh from the Gemara. We can still learn all of the mitzvot from the Gemara. We can't learn the mitzvot from the Tanakh. We can't learn Judaism from the Tanakh. Needless to say, we cannot respect rabbis without the Gemara, because we don't even understand what a rabbi is until we start trying to learn Gemara ourselves. The Chazon Ish, alav hashalom, when he was alive, it wasn't the same generation as us. Not because of the time difference. The day he died, the last Rav that went to see him right before he died, he said Shema Yisrael, and he died. He left the room. There was a lot of big Rabbanim outside. He says, now we've officially started a new generation. The generation of the Chazon Ish is not the same generation as the generation without the Chazon Ish. Yeah, but it was 5 seconds ago. It's not about time. A generation with the Chazon Ish, a generation without the Chazon Ish, it's 2 different generations. Same thing, a generation with Rav Ovadia, a generation without Rav Ovadia, it's different generations. Yeah, but it was a few years ago. Well, I was alive, it was this, I saw him, I went to visit. Different. Why? Because at the time they were alive, there were certain things that could not happen. Hashem would not allow it to happen because of them. But now that we don't have their protection, we don't have their Kedusha, we don't have their Torah in the world, Shem Erachem Aleinu. We're a dor shel yetomim. We're a generation of orphans. But the reality is that there are Gedolei Torah in the world. There are Talmidei Chachamim. There are people that have Yirat Shamayim. But there are very few people that want to listen to them. Because everybody wants to listen to the news. Everybody wants to listen to the doctor. Everybody wants to listen to their own opinion. Because everyone assumes that their opinion is better than Da'at Torah. And they're going to say to you, yeah, but if the Chazon Ish was here, I would listen to him. I bet you wouldn't. Why? Because the Chazon Ish didn't look like much. He didn't look like much. He didn't come with a three-piece suit, all decked out, nice groomed like the models you have over there that call themselves rabbis. No, he didn't look like that. What, he have a little tiny little room, tiny little shack, studies his Torah. Who is this guy? Is he homeless? Is he, who is this guy? You look at him in the street, you maybe give him $5 as a tzedakah. You wouldn't know who he is. But the people that knew were scared to death of him. Ben Gurion wasn't exactly a tzaddik. But when he needed the Torah to fight the UN, he used it. When they asked him, what gives you the right to this land? What was his answer? He raised a Sefer Tanakh, he says this gives me the right to the land. If the Arabs if Hashem would have given them 1% wisdom, which Baruch Hashem they don't have to this day, they would have said to Ben Gurion, wait, is that a Tanakh in your hand? He would have said yes. He said, okay, what does it say in Parashat Ki Tisa, this week's parasha? What does it say? It doesn't say Mechalel Shabbat Mot Yumat. No. So you say you have the right to the land because it is Tanakh. How come you don't keep what it says in the Torah? How come you don't keep Shabbat? How come you don't keep Shabbat? There wouldn't be modern day Israel. But Baruch Hashem didn't give him that dot, didn't give him that wisdom, didn't give him anything. Gave them the ability to be terrorists. But when Ben Gurion came to the Chazon Ish, he wanted to talk to him about making the Talmidei Yeshivot come serve in the Israeli army. It was a very short meeting. When he left the meeting, Ben Gurion famously said, his legs are in this world. The rest of him is in Olam Haba. But Chazon Ish, his feet are here. The rest of him is not in this world. So what did he say? What did he say? You talked to him about Talmidei Shivot. You know, added them to IDF. We need more soldiers, more weapons. He goes, no. No Avrech is going to be in IDF. No Avrech is going to be in Tzal. Nothing. What do you mean? That was the whole meeting. So, why, he didn't say yes? No, he said something else. I told him, what do you think about the Avrechim going to the IDF, to Tzal? And he gave me a chidush. What's the chidush? He says, do you want to live? Little Chazon Ish, maybe he's 85 pounds. He tells Sar HaBitachon, most feared person in the Israeli government at the time, do you want to live? If you want to live, don't touch them. Why? If you touch them, you're not going to live. Guess what? He was scared to death of this little 85-pound Jew. Not a single person was part of the Tzal. Not a single person. Unfortunately, that's changed. Why? Chazon Ish is not with us anymore. Rav Ovadia is not with us anymore. Lubavitcher Rebbe is not with us anymore. A lot of people are not with us anymore. But at the time they were, things changed. Things were different. How did Chazon Ish become Chazon Ish? Anybody that had a bar mitzvah, that's a kosher bar mitzvah, remembers that in their bar mitzvah they learned a couple of things. Sometimes they learned how to put tefillin on. Sometimes they even learned the parasha. So a lot of guys know the parasha of their bar mitzvah. They know it by heart. They don't know that much about halachot Shabbat. They don't know much about kosher, but they know the parashat Shavua because they memorized it for a year and a half. They remember the parasha by heart. I never got the merit of learning a parasha for my birthday when I was a kid. I wish I did, because then at least know something today. But this is good knowledge. Problem is, if you don't exercise it, it's useless. It's useless. Now, what do you do with this parasha? You read it at the Bekneset. Everybody claps. Wow, Chazaku Baruch. You know the parasha. You studied for a year and a half, 2 years to know the parasha. Ashrecha, let's take you to the beach. As soon as he finishes, there's usually, even in a religious world, semi-religious world, it's a very, very big high that collapses. Why? Because the kid studies for like a year, year and a half, 2 years to learn the parasha, but there's nothing that after it. Unless you're in a really, really frum world, you go to serious yeshiva, there's nothing that's after it that's as intense. So what happens? A lot of the kids drop off. They become really, really into it. They have the climatic experience of saying the parasha, and then that's it. There's no more limud. They just go to school like everybody else. And a lot of kids get discouraged, and they think the whole thing is a joke after it. They should make a program for after. But sometimes people have their kid give a little speech. A little 13-year-old give a speech about the parasha, about what is it like to be 13, about how he appreciates that his father and his mom, mortgaged the house to make him a bar mitzvah for a day. All those things. To feed a bunch of strangers. So, he gives a speech. Chazon Ish also had a speech. His father came to him and says, son, you ready for your speech tomorrow? He says, Abba, I know by heart. Sure. The next day, big rabbis came to the bar mitzvah. They're all ready for this little Israel's speech. You know what his speech was? Came, ready, prepared, knew the whole thing by heart. And he said this: I swear to Hashem that from this day forward I will study Torah lishma for the rest of my life. That's the speech. I will study Torah for the sake of Torah for the rest of my life. From this moment forward, for the rest of my life. That was his 13-year-old speech. Alvay alenu, to have such a son that knows at 13 years old to say such things and actually do it. But that's what makes a Chazon Ish. Why you think Chazon Ish just became Chazon Ish because by himself? He had parents, grandparents, all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. Everybody invested in Shlom Bayit, invested in Limud Torah, in all the different things that require for the Chazon Ish to come to the world. When he got married, he told before he got married, he's like, listen, I have one deal, I have one exception, one condition. He told his wife. What's the condition? I made a deal when I was 13 years old. I'm going to learn Torah lishma, meaning I don't care what's happening. I'm never going to work. I'm going to learn Torah day and night. You have to be the provider. He made a deal. She says, deal. Alvay alenu, to find a kala like this for our kids that says deal and actually means it. Today some women say deal, but then 2 years later say, honey, you got to go to work. Why? It's too much for me. It is too much, but it's not. It's too much, but it's not. It's too much when you want more than what you wanted 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you were happy just to be married. Happy with a little nice house, little base, little place. But now, after 2 years of marriage, 3 years of marriage, now you want a new stroller, and now you want a bigger house, and now you want a new remodeled kitchen, and now you want a new ceiling. And why? Because you're looking at your friends. And all your friends didn't marry Avrechim. They didn't marry Avrechim. They married businessmen. And you're jealous of them. Instead of them being jealous of you, you're jealous of them. You're saying, oh, look, he just got a new car. Honey, you're still on a bicycle. Honey, look, they got a new kitchen. Their kitchen is bigger than our house. You're comparing against the wrong people. In reality, they should be jealous of you. Why? You have a ben Torah in the house, but we don't realize it. We think the business is better than Torah. It's confusion. When she said it, yes, 2 years ago, she meant it. But then she got spoiled. Why? She let her eyes go in the wrong place. Instead of looking at her kids, she looked at the neighbor. And she got jealous of the wrong things. And unfortunately, that causes a lot of problems. Sometimes the guy ends up leaving Torah to go to work. Big mistake. I know one guy is a big, serious Talmid Chacham. Maybe 10 years, 9 years. 9 years. He learned Torah serious. Rabbi Chaim says he's one of the smartest people he knows. If Rabbi Chaim says you're smart, you're smart. Says serious Talmid Chacham. A lot of pressure, a lot of problems, a lot of everything. But every month, studies Torah like a chimp. Parnasa, like every avrech. A nice chunk of $500 a month. $500 a month, Baruch Hashem. How do you survive with 3-4 kids? Miracle every month. Every month's a miracle. Mamash. It's like a Red Sea. Sea of reeds. Split every week. How is the money coming from? It's coming somehow. There's always pressure. Checked clears, doesn't clear, this, that. Always different problem. But you survive. 9 years, survived. More kids, more this, more that, survived. After 9 years, the Yetzirah got to him. Hashem Yirachem. He broke. He says, I'm going back to business. I'm going to business. Going to business. Why? He was very smart with computers. And he said, I'm going to go make some money. Why? They're offering me, I think it was maybe like 10,000 or 8,000 shekels a month, which is like 4 times the salary of an avrech. That's just a starting salary. It's like, listen, my kids need, my wife needs, this needs, I have needs. I learned, Baruch Hashem, I'll learn at home, but can't do it full time. It's been now a year and change since he left. Just a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he tells Rabbi Chaim, the biggest mistake I ever made was leaving the kollel. So why? You're making a lot more money. He says, I don't have any money. He goes, what do you mean you're making a lot more money? He goes, yeah, I have money, but I don't have bracha. A lot of people have money. Many people. I know a lot of people that have money. But very, very few have bracha. Bracha and money are 2 different things. You can make $1,000 a month and have bracha and have everything you need. You can make 100 million a month and not have a single thing you need. Bracha and money are 2 different things. Many people have money, but very, very rarely do you see somebody that have bracha. Why? Because you have to earn bracha. Hashem has to give you bracha. You can't buy bracha. It all depends on what you do with your money that He's giving you. Are you spending it on going to baseball games and vacations? Or are you spending it on Torah, mitzvot, zikui rabim, things that are useful? Is it worth it for Hashem to give you this bracha? It's irrelevant of how much you make. A lot of people tell me, oh no, I'm about to start a business. I'm definitely going to give maaseh. Can you give me free advice? No. No, I'm not going to give you free advice. Why? Because I have to give you advice to do tshuva first. That's free. Business advice you don't need. Why? Because if you do tshuva, the business is going to work. You don't need business advice. You need tshuva advice. Tshuva advice. Baruch Hashem, a lot of people come to me with different business, questions, and I answer it. But in reality, it's under the condition that they're doing tshuva. If they're not doing tshuva, I can't answer any questions. Why? No advice that I could ever give you is going to help you. It can't help you. Yeah, I have business knowledge, but the business knowledge is not going to help you unless you do tshuva. So, the Chazon Ish's wife had a little store, and one day this Arab Mustafa decides to cheat her. Every month he would buy goods he would sell her goods, and she would give him the money. One time, he gave her the goods, and he noticed that she forgot to take the receipt from him that certified that she took the goods, she took possession of the goods. So she gave him the money, but she didn't take the receipt. So later on, he comes back to her, he goes, okay, no, I need the money. He goes, no, I gave you the money. I don't have $5,000 twice. I gave you the money. He goes, you have a receipt? He goes, no, I don't have a receipt. He goes, oh, I'm going to sue you. He sues her, takes her to court. Miskina, the poor woman, in a Goyish court, they're going to kill her. They're not just going to take the money, they're going to kill her too. She never bothered the Chazon Ish once in her life. This time she came to him. She says, Israel, Rabbi Israel, can I have a minute? Yeah, what happened? Everything okay? I have a little tiny problem. Mustafa, he's cheating me. What happened, Mustafa? What did he do? He says, oh, he gave me the goods like we do every month. But this time he says I didn't pay him, and I know I paid him. He's cheating me, but I don't have the money again. He's taking me to court. He goes, what's his full name? Say, Mustafa bin Laden Saddam Hussein. Okay, 1 second. Chazon Ish 1 second. He goes, he reads 2 Tehillim. Okay, you go to work. You have nothing to worry about. Go to work. Chazon says, she goes. She goes to work. Within literally minutes of her arriving to the work, she gets a telegram. Yes, ma'am, the trial is cancelled. Why? Mustafa died. Mustafa died. Why? He messed with the Chazon Ish's wife. As long as he was doing good, he lived. Why? He was serving the Jew. When he wanted to go against the Jew, he lost his right to live. So you see, Rabotai, there's an enormous amount of Torah to learn, but we cannot learn it without the Chachamim. This was the mistake that Am Yisrael has made time and time again throughout our history, is that they go to a rabbi, they ask a question, the rabbi gives them an answer, and they take a few pieces, like a puzzle. He gives them a full answer, and they take only a piece of it. The piece is not going to work. The piece is not going to work. Why? Because he give you a full menu. He give you a full menu. He didn't give you a piece. He give you a full menu. You only took a piece because you liked the piece. It was nice chocolate. You liked the chocolate, but you didn't like the other stuff. It's not going to work. That's the problem we have. But we have that problem also with religious and non-religious. It's not just really non-religious. Talmid Chacham came to the Steipler Gaon, the Gdol Ador, but also the brother-in-law of the Chazon Ish. Came to him and he says, Kvod Harav, listen, we open a kollel, and I want the rabbi's blessing. I'm going on a plane right now to America to go get some money, and I just want the blessing from the Rav. I got 10 avrechim, serious learners. The Steipler says, close the kollel. Close the kollel? No, I just want a blessing. I'm going to America to raise money for the Rav. I know what you said, he says. I'm deaf in one ear, but the other one I can hear fine. Close the kollel. Don't open a kollel. Go back to learning. Don't open a kollel. This Avrech, this Rosh Yeshiva now, not just Rosh Yeshiva. He came to the Gdol Ador for a blessing. What did he get? He feels like he got a curse. He didn't like it. So, he didn't want to listen. You already bought the ticket to America to go raise some money. Or you're going to waste it. You already told 10 avrechim to start learning. He's going to pay. No, come on, I already started. Maybe he's old. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe this, maybe that. He didn't want to listen. So you came to America, you got into a taxi cab from the airport, got into a car crash and died. True story. Why did the Steipler Gaon say, don't go close it, don't close it? That's none of our business. It's none of our business. What's our business is not to follow the same mistake of picking and choosing which advice to listen to, because it doesn't fit us. Another person came to the Steipler Gaon and told him, Kvod Harav, my son is having a heart surgery. He has a hole in his heart. So the doctors are recommending a surgery. Immediately, I wanted the Rav's opinion. He says, don't have a surgery. Don't touch your son. He's fine. We have x-ray vision from here to over there. No, he has a hole in his heart. I want a blessing from the rabbi. He says, don't have. Just don't put him in a really tall building, he says. When he grows up, don't put him on the 60th floor or something. Your regular house is fine. He'll be fine. He doesn't need a surgery. Your son specifically, doesn't need a surgery. They didn't like that advice. Why? They thought he's going to give a blessing, pick this surgeon, pick that. They already had a decision in their mind. Sometimes you go to a rabbi, not with a question. You come to them with an answer. You come to the rabbi with an answer, and you're waiting for the rabbi to agree with you. When he doesn't agree with you, it's like, I need a different rabbi. This rabbi sucks. This rabbi doesn't know what he's talking about. This rabbi is clueless. Why? What'd you tell him? What'd you ask him? No, I didn't ask him really. I just told him that I'm doing this, this, and that. He doesn't know. He didn't agree with me. Yeah, but you didn't ask him. You told him. He doesn't agree with you. What's the problem? If you're going to come to a rabbi, come with a question, not an answer. Why? Because if you're coming with an answer, don't come. You have an answer. What's the point? Why are you wasting your time and his time? For what? What's the point? They came to the Steipler Gaon with an answer. They didn't like the answer he gave their answer. They had the surgery. It got worse. They came back to the rabbi. Kvod, what do we do now? He says, did you have the surgery? He says, yes, and it got worse. He goes, it's beyond my hands now. It's out of my hands. Nothing I can do. Boy died. Baby died. Why? Because Hashem has Chachamim in this world for a reason. They're in essence His partners in the world. They're in essence His partners in the world. To such an extent, the Torah tells us that even if they make a mistake, Hashem will change nature just to make them right. Now, it doesn't always have to be a big chacham. It could just be somebody simply with a little bit of yirat shamayim. He gives you advice, and you don't listen to it. It was better off you never asked. Why? Because before you asked, it was up to you and your own little craziness. Now you asked, you got the answer, and you rejected the answer. It's like you rejected Torah. Someone that rejects Torah, Hashem Yachem, it's a very serious offense. Very serious offense. Now, in Sefer Shmuel, we see something very interesting. The same Eli Cohen that you mentioned earlier, he ruled over Am Yisrael for 40 years, it says. Ruled for 40 years. Now, how did his rule end? It didn't really end in a nice way. In chapter 4, it says, ויהי דבר שמואל לכל ישראל, ויצא ישראל לקראת פלישתים למלחמה, ויחנו על האבן העזר, ופלישתים חנו בהפך. It says, the word of Shmuel befell all of Israel. Israel went out to war against the Philistines. They encamped the Even HaEzer, while the Philistine encamped the Afek. So, Shmuel gives the prophecy, Am Yisrael, they ask him, do we go to war? He says, yes. Israel goes to war with the Philistines, like the Palestinians of today. But something wrong happens. What happens? They lose the war. And they lose 4,000 people. The Philistines arrayed themselves opposite Israel, and the battle spread. Israel was smitten before the Philistines. They slew about 4,000 men in the battlefield. 4,000 of our men died in the battlefield. Now, you would think, we get the point. No good. We lose a battle when Hashem is with us. We have prophets. We have Kohanim Gdolim. We have all Da'at Torah around us. We should get the point of what to do. So the people came to the camp, and the elders of the Israel said, why did Hashem smite us today before the Philistines? Let us take with us from Shiloh the Ark of the Covenant of Hashem, that he may come in our midst and save us from the hands of our enemies. So they went to some old people. Instead of going to Shmuel, instead of going to Eli, instead of going to the Gedolei Ador, what do? They asked a bunch of guys, a bunch of older men there, said, oh, you guys know a little bit. No. What do you guys think we should do? He said, oh, let's go bring the Aron HaKodesh. Let's go bring the Sefer Torah. Bring the Sefer Torah and force Hashem to beat our enemies. Why? We bought a Sefer Torah. I spent $60,000, $70,000 on Sefer Torah. If I spend $60,000, $70,000 on Sefer Torah, Hashem's going to win my battles. I have bankruptcy, I have lawsuits, I have this problem, marriage problem, that problem. I buy Sefer Torah, it's going to solve my problems. That's the mentality of today. And that's what they did. And guess what? So the people went out to Shiloh and carried from there the Ark of the Covenant of Hashem, Master of Legions. And they ended up losing 30,000 men. Not only did they lose again, it got 8 times worse. And if that's not bad enough, the Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant. They stole the Sefer Torah, the Luchot HaBrit, stole everything. So someone from the Shevet Benjamin, a Benjamin man, ran to Eli Cohen. He says, I'm the one who came from the battlefront, and I ran from the battlefield today. So Eli says, what's the report, my son? He says, the bearer of the tidings answered him, saying, Israel ran before the Philistines, and there was a great blow among our people, also your two sons, Hophni and Pinchas. They both died, and the ark of God was taken. He gives them the news of all news. Not only did we lose the war, both of your sons died, and the Ark of the Covenant was stolen. As soon as he mentioned that the Ark of God was stolen, Eli fell backwards from his chair, broke his neck, and died. The Kohen Gadol fell off his chair, died. Not because his two sons died, but because they stole the Ark of Covenant. Because he knew 100% this is from Hashem. His two sons, he wasn't too surprised. Why? His two sons actually were Reshaim. They weren't exactly tzaddikim. Where do we know it from? We know it from earlier before in Sefer Shmuel, where it says that his two sons, they liked money too much. So every time somebody came to the Beit HaMikdash, they tell them, no, come on, give some money. They'd force people to give more money, for the Beit Knesset, and for the Echal, and for the Aliyah, and for this, and money. So much so, people didn't want to come to the Beit HaMikdash. They didn't want to come to the Beit HaMikdash because of them. So he said, they're going to die because they did what they did. Makes sense. But they stole the Ark of Covenant, Shem Echem. He fell and died. What is this to teach us here? That even at the time when we had prophets and Kohanim Gdolim, if we didn't listen to Da'at Torah, we lost every time. You don't need it to be a prophet. You don't need it to be a Urim and Tumim. You don't need it to be a Kohen Gadol. You just need someone with Da'at Torah. What is the opinion of the Torah about this? Why? Because the Torah hasn't changed. Torah itself hasn't changed. And this, Rabotai Karim, is what every Jew needs to look for. Where can I get Da'at Torah? Where can I get Da'at Torah? Where can I get this Da'at Torah, this opinion of the Torah? I don't care if he has a beard or he doesn't have a beard. I don't care if he's tall or he's short. He's Ashkenazi or he's Sephardi. He's a Baal Tshuva, he's from birth. He's from Israel, he's from America. It doesn't make a difference. Where can I get it? Once you have it, that's where you go for your questions. But remember, Da'at Torah means Hashem is giving him the answers. If he says it and you don't do it, it's the same thing as if you didn't listen to Hashem. So you can't go and complain, it didn't work out. Why? If it didn't work out, if you listen, it didn't work out, that means Hashem wanted it not to work out. Even more so, if you don't listen and it doesn't work out, don't blame him. Don't blame him. Blame yourself. This is important. A Jew that wants to live a kosher life realizes that it's so difficult today to find Da'at Torah, to find somebody with Yirat Shamayim, to find somebody that's going to tell you the truth no matter what, to find even somebody that knows anything, that they have to spend as much time as possible looking for that person that has this Da'at Torah, which means they have even less time to waste going on vacations, hanging out with the guys, spending too much time with business, and doing all of this other stuff that's mundane. Because there's simply too much on the line. The battle that you're having right now, whether it be with marriage, or it be with finding a zivug, or it's parnasa, or it's finding a school for your kids, or whatever it is, the battle is not with the school, or the wife, or the husband, or the community. The battle is with the Torah. If you have problems in your life, the Gemara in Masechet Brachot says, Yifashfesh b'ma'asav. Look into your own actions. What's happening in your life is happening because there's a problem between you and Hashem. That's the reason. No, but I did good. I went to pray Minyan Netz. I put tefillin, Rabbeinu Tam, Rashi, I even put this one and that one. He has 3 tefillin on his head, each one $3,000. He learns, he does this, he does that, he does everything else. He gives takah. No, I did good. If you really did that good, look, it's going to be bitul Torah. Means that you studied, but not enough. You studied, but you wasted a little extra time playing with your phone. So Chachamim say, wait a minute. If he looked at all of his actions, wouldn't he have found bitul Torah also? He would have found bitul Torah. Why does he have to default to bitul Torah if he looked at his actions? This is because in reality, if he looked at his actions and he didn't find something, he didn't look at hard enough. He didn't look hard enough. Maybe he doesn't even realize what he's doing wrong. He doesn't even realize what he's doing wrong. As Chachamim say, En adam roe chova be'atzmo. Gemara Masechet Shabbat. A person does not see the obligation himself. But the Midrash says he doesn't see the obligation himself, but he sees the the defect in everybody else though. That he sees. He sees that really clear. He sees that really clear. So there's a lot more to say, but I think you guys get the point for today. There is if anyone that wants to understand what's on the line, if a person messes up, you could do one of two things. If you want to just get it served, ready-made for you, go watch our shiur about Gehinnom. Why? That shiur, it tells you what happens if you mess up in this world and you don't do tshuva. Watch that shiur a nice 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 times. I promise you become tzaddik. I promise you. Why? After the 3rd time, you're already Rabbi Akiva. By the time you're 5th time, you're teaching it. Why? Because you're scared to death. That's what's going to happen to me if I violate Shabbat. That could happen to me if I steal in my business. That could happen to me if I walk around immodest. Hashem Yachem. Who wants to deal with such problems? If you want to go delve yourself and find out yourself, read from the books yourself, you can look a little bit. I'll give you 2 sources just to give you a little bit of an appetizer. There's many others. Go look at the Gemara, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 16 to 17. Actually, all the way to 18a. 16b all the way to 18a. Nice, beautiful Gemara about what happens if a person messes up. How there are certain people that are tzaddikim, they're good. Certain people, they're shaim, no good. Certain people, benonim, middle. Who goes to Gehinnom? Tzaddikim don't go to Gehinnom. Reshaim, of course, go to Gehinnom. What about the benonim? They also go to Gehinnom. Why? They have to fix. They have to become tzaddikim. But if you read that Gemara, you'll see there's a get out of jail free card. If you're a benoni, you can actually avoid Gehinnom. You have to read the Gemara to find out how. There's a get out of jail free card though. If that's not enough, you go to Hilchot Shuvah. You go to Rambam Hilchot Shuvah, chapter 3. A nice halachot of all the different people that Hashem Yachem are going to go to Gehinnom and not leave. He's not talking about, listen, you're going to go and they're going to punch you in the face a few times, give you a black eye and you leave. With tail between your legs. No, they say these are the people that go to Gehinnom eternally. Forever. Meaning, Mashiach comes, they shut down Gehinnom, but their Gehinnom doesn't end. I'll give you a couple of examples just so you know if you're on the list. Or you know somebody on the list, maybe you can help them. In chapter 3, halakha number 6, it says the following individuals do not have a portion in the world to come. Rather, their souls are cut off, and they're judged for their great sin and wickedness forever. Forever. Forever means forever. Forever doesn't mean a week. You can look up at the Wikipedia, I think. Forever, or dictionary. Forever means forever. La'olam. Actually, the English translation is soft. It says forever, but in Hebrew it doesn't say forever. In Hebrew it says le'olme olamim. Forever, forever. It's beyond forever. Why forever? You're going to say, no, until Mashiach comes. No. After Mashiach comes, it's still forever after that. Who are these people? Eminim, Apikorsim, those who deny the Torah, those who deny the resurrection of the dead, the coming of Mashiach, those that rebel against God, those who cause other people to sin, those who separate themselves from the community, those who proudly commit sin in public. It goes in others, but let's just, people that say Lashon Hara regularly, Ba'alei Lashon Hara. Who doesn't say Lashon Hara? If you don't say Lashon Hara, you don't talk. Well, apparently, if we don't fix our Lashon Hara, we're in serious problems. Because this is halakha. This is not like a midrash that you could decide whether you want to believe or not, which you can't anyway. But anyway, some people say that. Let's just give you a small little taste of what it means here. Let's see if we're on the list. Shem Yerachem. Who are these minim? Who's a min? So the Rambam in the next halakha number 7, he says the definition. Someone who says that there's no God, nor there's a rule of a God. In essence, an atheist. Someone who accepts the concept of a ruler, but maintains that there are 2 or 3, meaning a Christian. Or someone who accepts that there is one master of the world, but maintains that he has a body or a form. Again, a Christian. Or someone who maintains that he was not the sole first being of the creator of all existence. Somebody that's really stupid. Or someone who serves a star or a constellation or entity. This is Buddhist. These are all called minim. You have a friend that's a Christian missionary, or you have a Buddhist, you have a guy that's a Buddhist, and so like that. According to halakha, you're not allowed to be within 6 feet of him. So unless he is just ignorant about his own religion, you can wake him up. You have to be very careful who you pick as friends. If you're one of them, then we'll start praying for you to do tshuva, because you're in serious problems. You're in the forever category. Now, if that's not enough, let's see what else is a serious problem. What about an apikos? What's an apikos? Someone who denies the Torah. What does it mean, deny the Torah? Someone who says the Torah, not just the whole Torah, even one word or one letter of the Torah is not from God. He says, you know, this aleph in this word, I think Moshe Rabbeinu put this one. Not the whole. Moshe is here. Torah is Kedosha. Everything is good. But this aleph over here, I don't agree with this aleph. It's not for me, this aleph. Not the whole halakha. No, this aleph. I just have a problem with this aleph. I don't like it. I think that the whole Torah should have started with aleph instead of bet. I disagree with this. Forever category. Shem Yerachem. Meaning, if you actually learn the halachot, you see how much is on the line. If you're not scared, you're crazy. It's so easy. It's so easy to lose everything. Or someone that says, you know what, the Torah, I think Moshe wrote it. Not Hashem. You know how many times I hear this a week? People think that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Torah. Or someone who denies the Torah's interpretation, meaning that oral law. Someone that disputes the Gemara. No, I don't agree with this Gemara. This Gemara, I don't think it's relevant to our generation. Nah. Rashi? Nah, it's not for me, Rashi. Rambam? Nah, Rambam's old. He's not 100 years old. He doesn't know. Someone says such a thing, he's in the forever category. It's not a good place. Chabal, he has a beautiful neshama. Chabal, you have to save him. Or the best yet, one who says that although the Torah came from God, the Creator has replaced one mitzvah with another and nullified the original Torah, just like the Arabs and the Christians say. That's what the Rambam says. Arabs and the Christians are both, if they stay Arabs and Christians, Muslims and Christians, they're in the forever category. So for all of those that think that the Arabs and Christians, Rambam likes them for some strange reason, doesn't say that. Now, if that's not enough, this doesn't affect a lot of people. What does affect a lot of people? Halakha number 10. What does it mean, those who cause many to sin? Literally, simply. It means anyone that causes people to make sins like Yerovam, or Tzaduk, or Baitus, but also not just big sins like this, even slight sins, even a nullification of a positive commandment. Nah, don't go to Shiur Torah. Nah, don't go to Beit Knesset. Come hang out with us. Or someone that entices others and lead them astray. Oh, you want to wear a mini skirt and a really long wig today? You know there's going to be guys looking at you, right? They're going to sin. You're going to sin. You go, look, Listen, everybody's going to compliment you. They're going to say, wow, look at how she looks. And they'll start whistling at you. Woo, woo. They're going to start partying. Look, wow, she looks better. It looks like she lost 20 pounds. Shtabach shimo. They start to do bracha for you. But they're all sinning. They're all sinning because of your immodesty, because of the long wig and the short skirt. Or no wig, maybe. You're in the forever category. Bat Israel. A Bat Israel, she went to Bet Yaakov her whole life, is now in the forever category if she walks around immodest. What mother wants her daughter to go to Gehenom? Show me one mother that wants her daughter to go to Gehenom. Show me. Show me one mother that says, honey, when you grow up, you're going to go to Gehenom. I can't wait to send you there. What mother says such a thing? No one, right? So how can you dress her with clothing that's going to take her to Gehenom? And not only her, but all of the people that look at her forever. Why? Why? By her clothes that cover her body. Teach her that a garbage pail is something that everybody touches. A Bat Israel is not a garbage pail. No one is supposed to touch you until you get married. Your husband does. But if she sees her mom walking around with a half a skirt, and the wig is longer than the exile, then guess what? The daughter's going to want even shorter skirt. You wore sleeves. She doesn't want to wear sleeves. You barely covered. She's not covering at all. And guess what? You raised your daughter for what? To go to Gehenom. Better off you didn't bring her to the world. Why? Hopefully a different mother wouldn't send her to Gehenom. But that's what the halacha says. Rabbi Yaron Reuven. You can read it yourself. Read it for yourself. Someone is a machtia rabim. What's machtia rabim? Causes other people to sin. Immodesty causes other people to sin. Every rabbi, including your lenient rabbi, will say that. Because here, it's not commentary. Here it's simple. It's halacha. So, last but not least, for all of those that say to me or to anybody else, listen, I'm not ready to do tshuva. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to keep Shabbat. I'm not ready to do this. I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready yet. Easy, Rabbi. Easy. One day at a time. Easy. If it was my Torah, I tell you take it easy. Don't do tshuva even. If it's my Torah, I tell you do what you want. What do I care? What do I care? Keep, don't keep. If it was my Torah, somebody came to the Chafetz Chaim. He said, Kvod Harav, is tzedakah for the kollel, for the yeshivot, for this, for that. Gvir, a lot of money. Chafetz Chaim took his hand. He looked at his hand. Starts nodding. Starts crying. What? Kvod Harav, what happened? What happened? Not enough? No. He goes, Chaval. Chaval that they're going to burn this generous hand of yours in Gehenom forever for being a Mechalel Shabbat. Chaval. Chaval, poor hand. They're going to burn this hand that's so generous for kollels and yeshivot for being a Mechalel Shabbat. He starts crying with them. The guy starts crying. He sees Gdol Ador is crying. Chafetz Chaim is crying. He's holding his hand and crying. He says, no, Kvod, listen. I got you. I got the message. Enough. I'm going to start keeping Shabbat. I just need 3 weeks to set up. 3 weeks to get things done. I'll start keeping Shabbat in 3 weeks from now. Chafetz Chaim starts crying even worse. Wow, Chaval, they're going to burn this hand. Why? No, 3 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'm going to do it. He goes, wait, you think Shabbat is mine? We think Shabbat is mine. If Shabbat was mine, I'd give you 2 weeks. But it's not mine. It's Hashem's. It's Hashem's Shabbat. Chaval, they're going to burn your hand. And everything else that's attached to the hand. For being a Mechalel Shabbat. There's some people that say they're not ready to do tshuva. And can I have more time? Who are you asking? If you're asking Hashem, the answer is no. If you're asking me, the answer is I can't. It's not my Torah. The reality is, Rabotai, there are certain things you can take one step at a time because you either don't know it yet or you simply can't do it. It's just against your own nature. But keeping Shabbat is not against anybody's nature. Learning Torah is not against anybody's nature. And if other people know that you're sinning and you continue to sin, you have a nightclub on the weekends that's open on Shabbat. You have illegal business. You have illegal dress, illegal this, illegal, all types of things that you're doing that are against the Torah. Then that puts you in also halakha number 11. Those who proudly commit sins in public. As Yoakim did, whether they commit slight sins or severe ones, has no portion in the world to come. Such behavior is referred to as acting brazen-faced against the Torah. For he acted insolently in open defiance without feeling any shame despite the Torah's words. Here you see that somebody that simply says, you know what, I'm not ready to do tshuva. Yeah, but you know you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat, right? Yeah, I know, I'm just not ready. You have a serious problem. Why? If you die now, chas v'shalom, no Kaddish in the world's going to help you. So chaval. Chaval, they're going to burn you. Chaval. Keep Shabbat. Go to sleep the whole Shabbat. Just don't drive. I'm not saying become Rabbi Akiva. I'm not saying go to Kollel, leave your career, leave everything. But there's basic minimum stuff to do. Abat Israel is a basic minimum of clothing. I'm not telling you become a Rebbitzin. But basic minimum of covering your body. I'm not saying you have to become a Gmach and give all your money to Kollel. Basic minimum of honesty in your business. Basic minimum of honesty. I'm not saying you have to become a Talmid Chacham. Basic minimum of learning Torah every day. Basic minimum. 15 minutes a day. A half hour a day. You have more time, an hour a day. Basic minimum. There are basic minimums. You don't have to become a rabbi overnight. You don't have to become a rebbitzin overnight, but there are basic minimums that will get you out of the hot zone. Why? Because as soon as you start doing the basic minimum, a few things are going to happen. Guaranteed or your money back. Number one, you're going to start liking it. You're going to start seeing, not only is it not bad after all, you actually start liking it. If you're doing it right. If you do Shabbat right, you like it from day one. If you do modesty right, you like it from day one. You start seeing how you appreciate yourself better. You start becoming honest, you start liking yourself more. Even though you're losing money in the beginning, because you're not cheating people anymore. But you like going home and you're proud to tell your son, son, today I made $6. But I didn't steal from anybody. Automatically you start respecting and valuing yourself day one. First thing that happens. Second thing, all the blessings that every rabbi and every person gave you your whole life, they start coming true. Why? Because now you're becoming a vessel that can accept blessings. All the blessings in the world are not going to work for you if you're an enemy of Hashem. You can go to the Gdol Ador. You go to Rav Kanievsky. You go to Rav Kamenetsky. You go to anyone you want. If you can find the kever of Moshe Rabbeinu, go there. Still not going to work. Why? You're an enemy of Hashem. Unless you do tshuva. Once you do tshuva, all the blessings in the world work. They work. Not all at once, not overnight, but they work. And you'll see that whatever you do starts getting a blessing. And I'm telling you from experience, a blessing is priceless. A lot of people have a lot of money. Very few have a blessing. A lot of people are married. Very few have a blessed marriage. Many people have children. Very few are blessed with children. Why? Their children are not exactly Moshe Rabbeinu. They curse the mom out. They beat her up. They beat the father up sometimes. They steal the keys. They steal money from the grandparents. The little Reshaim. Why? They saw Abba and Ima being Reshaim. But the father and mother weren't as bad. But that's Yeridat Adorot. Each generation is worse than the one before. He saw Abba playing with the phone on Shabbat. He's driving on Shabbat. If Abba was playing with the phone on Shabbat, the kid's driving on Shabbat. If Ima wasn't wearing a kisurosh, the daughter's not wearing anything. Why? That's how it works. Look at all of our grandparents. All of our grandparents were tzaddikim, rabbanim, gdolei adot. Amazing. With one small, minor hiccup in between. Somebody decided to go to the beach one time. Somebody decided to not give tzedakah to Torah. Somebody decided to go to a university in America, to go become a doctor. Somebody decided to make one small little leniency, like it's not a big deal. It's not going to cause trouble for so many people. That's what Adam HaRishon thought. I'm going to eat from the tree of knowledge because what's the worst that can happen? Hashem's going to kill me. Big deal. Okay, so at least I died serving Hashem. He never in his wildest dreams thought that almost 6,000 years later, we're still suffering from that mistake. There's no room for error. It's too difficult to get it right anyway. But if you're putting the trap in front of yourself by just listening when you want to, walking in when you want to, leaving when you want to, paying attention when you want to, all this when you want to, you're picking and choosing Torah like it's a salad, chaval. Chaval, they're going to burn your hand. Because it's a nice hand. It's a hand Hashem created. He doesn't want to burn it. He wants to bless it. He wants to give you more. He wants you to be in Gan Eden with him, walking and enjoying for eternity. Why are you getting in his way? All you got to do is just what he says. It's really not that difficult. He can't wait to give you a blessing. And that's what the Chachamim, to finish off, that's what the Chachamim say. Why is Hashem really? What does he get out of punishment? Why does he even punish us? The only reason Hashem created the world was because he is good. But good, in order for it to be good, must create good. You can't say I'm good and selfish at the same time. You can't say I'm good only to myself. Good means that you're producing good. So he wanted to create good, and therefore he created us, to give us good. But he knew to give us good with no bad would mean that we would simply not be able to appreciate and decipher the good and the bad. We would think everything is the same. In order for us to receive good, he had to give us a reward system. Reward and punishment. In order for us to earn this good. But ultimately his mission is to give us good, not to give us bad. But that's also the reason why he punishes us when we don't follow. Because when we don't follow his Torah like he said it, then in essence, we are limiting him from doing what he wanted to do the whole time, which is to give us good. By us not doing good, we're forcing him not to give us good. And by forcing him not to give us good, we're limiting him from giving us what he wanted to give us the whole time, from giving us what he created us for. It's not about fear of Gehinnom and fire and this and that. Yes, you need to know it daily and learn about it. But the reality is, it's so much easier to live a life full of blessings than a life full of curses. And that's the life. You have a Torah, you have a life full of blessings. You don't have a Torah, everywhere you go it's just curses. I've seen it, I've lived it on both ends, and I'm telling you, it's true. Any questions? Beseder Rabotai, we have a shiur, Bezrat Hashem, Tuesday, and then another one on Wednesday. Next week, no shiurim. We're going to have something online, as far as some videos that haven't been online that are ready. We'll publish them next week, so you'll see new shiurim online, but there's not going to be any live shiurim next week. Bezrat Hashem, we're having a baby. So, I know I look pregnant, but it's not me, I promise. So next week, no shiurim. But this week, we have another 2 shiurim, Bezrat Hashem. For anyone that wants to come to shiurim, you can go to our Facebook page or website. It's constantly has new things there. We have the schedule for this week, but also for anyone that wants to give out CDs, we published yet last night our biggest drive yet. We're giving out 100,000 CDs and Asher Yatzar cards, Asher Yatzar posters for free to anyone that wants to give it out in their community. Just send us an email with a little bit of information about your community, obviously your address. Don't just send me your name. Hi, this is Samuel, and think that somehow I'm going to get the CDs to you. Send me your address, please, and at least some info about your community, so I know it's not some Christian community. And we'll send you the CDs for free. This is, Baruch Hashem, the biggest investment Bezrat Hashem has made so far, but we figured that if the CDs and the Asher Yatzar cards that are worth hundreds of thousands, if they're sitting in the warehouse, they're worthless. But if they're sitting in somebody's computer, in somebody's living room, somewhere there, then they become priceless. So we figured that's what makes more sense. Anyone that wants to give them out can. Anyone that wants to support it and donate for it, please do. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.